Perfect pair. It's not a dating game. It's an essential, critical opportunity to pair someone who needs caregiving with a young person. And to talk about Perfect Pair is the CEO and founder, Emily Lerner. Thank you for being with us today.
Yeah, such a pleasure.
I just love the title, the name of your, it's not a title, it's the name of your company, your organization, Perfect Pair. Tell us a little bit about what it is, tell the audience what it is and what you do.
Yeah, so we match older adults with college students based on mutual interests, hobbies, backgrounds, and then they meet together every week to kind of combat social isolation and loneliness for both sides of the pair.
And how did you start Perfect Pair? What's your background? I mean, you look like you're 12 years old and you're talking about older adults. Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, so my mom actually works in assisted living. She has my whole life. And so I grew up running around with like 40, 50 bonus grandparents, was really comfortable with older adults all growing up through high school, had a lot of friends and mentors that were a lot older, as well as two wonderful sets of grandparents. And so when I went to college, I really felt that kind of separation from my own community. It's such an age siloed world that we live in, where in college campuses, it's like 18 to 21 and there's nobody older than you and nobody younger than you. And so I started volunteering at Brookdale, Ann Arbor, which is a local assisted living community 5-10 minutes from the university campus, and found some of those similar friendships that I had growing up with people who had like amazing life experiences, were artists or professors or were in the military, things like that. And so at the very end of college before COVID, I was like, I feel like my friends would love these friends that I had kind of built totally separate from each other. And so that's where it kind of started.
You know, I adore you, and I've only met you like 20 minutes ago, you know, but I've never heard anyone tell me that they miss, an 18 to 21-year-old tell me they miss being around older people, you know, so that alone it just shows how you're perfectly fit for this. You're a perfect person for this. So you talked about Ann Arbor, your University of Michigan.
Yes.
Talk about your experience there.
Yeah,
you are a graduate or?
Yeah, I'm a graduate and I went to medical school at the University of Michigan. So I've been there for a very long time. And it's a great place, wonderful. And I feel like kind of at Michigan, but also at all of our other college campuses, like you said, you'd probably actually be surprised at how many college students kind of miss that like greater sense of community. And for me, it was, I think, more natural because I had a lot of that in my life before. But for a lot of our other students, our highest numbers of reported things are our students feeling like they have a greater sense of community after being involved in Perfect Pair. And so for me, Michigan was an amazing place. I have amazing friendships, but friendships not just kind of within my own.
And you'll be going to Seattle to do your residency there?
I'll be going to the University of Washington to do my internal medicine residency.
Fantastic. Yeah. Congratulations
Thank you.
On that. So where is Perfect Pair? Is it just in Michigan? Is it throughout the country?
Yeah, so it's all throughout the country. We are at 35 chapters across 23 different states, actually in big part thanks to our partner, the Government Employees Health Association, or GEHA. So they helped us kind of grow and expand our reach across the country. And so we're kind of all over.
My mind is swirling because there's just so many benefits to the work that you do in terms of young people, older adults, people going to social sciences, nursing, healthcare, social work, whatever it might be. So what do people need to do? I mean, when you compare a young person with an older, you match them based on skill set. How do the students apply? How do the families apply?
Yeah, so we have a pretty in-depth match application that was built actually based on a study of how compatibility works in friendships. And so you fill out languages spoken, background, history, jobs worked, introvert, extrovert, kind of all of the different things. And then we have a team at each college campus. So our different college campuses are run by students. And so there's a vice president of matching that will go through and read each application of our older adults and our younger adults, and kind of find the thing that really matters to each of them. So for example, we had a pair at the University of Michigan, Consuelo and Jimena. One of our older adult only spoke Spanish and everyone in her assisted living community spoke English. So obviously like a huge barrier to making other friendships and community. And so that was a really key piece in making that match, for example. And then for me, my pair and I were paired based on, she had worked in medical ethics. I'm obviously in medicine. She's from Germany. My family's in Poland, which is, I think, some of the most boring things about us now, but looking for those like key things that kind of bring people together.
That connect folks. Yeah. And what kind of vetting is done? Are students get credit for it? Do they get paid? Talk about that.
Yeah, it totally depends on the college campus, actually. And so people a lot of times will do it for starting for service hours or volunteer hours. But then I think what's really special is it's truly a one-on-one relationship. Like you meet for an hour every single week with one person. It's not like volunteer work where you kind of go in and are with different people every time. And so then it really just becomes a friendship. And I would say that community piece is really important for both sides of our pair, kind of having that dedicated friendship time with each other.
And is that the maximum amount of time that they generally spend is an hour just to connect with them and have some conversation and share thoughts and ideas? Is that the maximum, or is there more time that's available to them?
Yeah, that's the minimum usually. So they have to spend an hour every week, and it really depends on the pair. But my pair and I talk way more than an hour every week. But yeah, it just depends. And we try to do it in person when we can, because I feel like it's a lot easier to really build friendships and relationships in person.
And so how do families find out how they can connect with Perfect Pair?
Yeah, so we partner with assisted living communities, long-term care, dependent care, memory care, things like that. And so we'll kind of come in, bring tabling supplies, bring music, and bring match applications. And usually once we have one older adult paired, they'll tell all their friends and kind of spread it that way. But we also partner with senior centers, PACE centers. We'll partner with older adults living in their own homes. Those are often referred to by social workers in the community, or sometimes family members will just Google and find us. And so it's really a lot of different ways, and it also really depends on the different community that we're in, because I feel like, again, chapters can be so different. So at our University of Michigan chapter, they have a ton of community partners in lots of different ways that older adults are paired and find our program.
Is Perfect Pair located outside of Ann Arbor as well? Any place else in Michigan?
Yeah, at Michigan State University.
Okay.
So we're kind of in those two areas.
Okay, and so it doesn't matter where you live in the state, you can make a connection as long as the student can get to you.
Yes. So usually in-person connections are made within 20 or 30 minutes of the university. We also offer virtual, but that can be that can be depending on how you are. My pair and I actually meet virtually, and we have for a couple of years now, but it just depends on the pair and what they're looking for.
And do they usually stay, do you have to be a junior, sophomore, freshman, sophomore, junior, or does it matter?
It doesn't matter. Actually, we like to get freshmen and sophomores involved because you have a longer period of time to actually meet with your pair. But oftentimes pairs will informally meet after they graduate from school or continue on through graduate school or things like that.
And so we don't want to get people confused. This is not a caregiver, it's a care partner, right? It's someone who comes in and just, it may give some respite to the caregiver, because can they stay, if they're at home, then they can stay there. I'm assuming the partner or the Perfect Pair can stay there while someone runs to the grocery store. Or are they allowed to do that, or does someone else have to be there the entire time?
So if people are living in their own homes, usually we'll do virtual meetings. People are living in, or they'll kind of come to a community place, a senior center, a day center, things like that for their meetings. But yeah, it's just more for connection, friendship, and like mental health and social isolation support.
So tell us some of the stories. What are some of the stories that you've heard when this connection happens? And I actually think that this should happen when people are in kindergarten, first or second or third grade, to be connected to older adults. I've seen that before, and it just lightens up everyone's life, So young people aren't afraid. Some people are, like, oh, I don't want to go there. It's so sad. But it's like you said, the stories are so rich, and the history and what they have to share. And I know a teacher who used to give an assignment that the sixth graders always had to talk to someone who's at least 80 years or older for an assignment, and they came back loving it. So that kind of connection is so important for both. So talk a little bit about some of the stories that you've heard.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree. I love the intergenerational programs that are like connecting all sorts of ages together. But we've had some amazing pairs, and one of my favorites was actually one of our first pairs, Melanie and Enid. They were paired because they're both from New York City. So it's a very specific kind of person. They both love theater and speak Spanish. And so they did a lot of our programming together. So pairs can participate in lots of different programming from photography, language learning, book clubs, art, you name it. We've probably done it with one of our pairs in the past. And so they did a lot of plant potting. They listened to Frank Sinatra. They did this like whole project together. They would often call each other multiple times a week, a really special pair. And we had another one who were actually paired because they both grew up on a blueberry farm, which is so specific.
And that was actually in their profile.
That was in their profile, both of theirs, which is crazy. But they're also both artists and really like to be involved in like choir, singing, and art. And so they do a lot of painting and oil on canvas. I don't even know all the things that they do. They recently crocheted matching hats together.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
So really like, but then we have some parents who just talk every week. It's kind of my pair and I, we just gab our lives away. We did a little book club together, but it didn't last super long because we just like to kind of spend our time chatting. But I feel like there's just a lot of support that gets passed along. Like you truly build a real friendship with each other. And we had a really special pair, Madison and Mary, who I love. They were both actually very involved in the organization. Madison is still on our national team and helps to run the organization. She's a younger adult. And Mary was on our advisory team. And they were just such special friends for many, many, many years. Mary was a previous social worker in grief, death, and dying. And so helped us kind of build out some of our own organizational resources in that. And when she passed, I was able to attend her celebration of life. And Madison was one of 3 speakers that kind of spoke to their friendship. And so
that's nice.
Like really just real friendships and relationships.
I would imagine that these extend beyond just the time that they're in college, especially if they're studying as a freshman and they're there for 3 or 4 years, that relationship is ongoing. Once you're with someone for that period of time, you don't just stop because you move away.
Definitely, yeah. So our older adults can choose to be repaired if they want, but oftentimes we'll choose not to be, and we'll just kind of keep up via phone and video call with their pairs. That's what my pair and I are hoping to do when I'm graduating like this year. I hope she doesn't choose to be repaired with somebody else.
Well, you'll be in a residency. You're going to be super busy, but I bet you'll find time.
Yeah.
I bet you'll find time.
Planning to call her right after this.
Are there any limitations or restrictions that you can't, the person has to be a certain age or they have to be certain, I'm talking about the person who the student is connected with. Are there any restrictions to that?
Usually we say 50 plus, just to make sure that it's
intergenerational.
Get a pair.
Right.
And for our younger adults enrolled in some form of college, university, or graduate program.
Okay.
And that's just for vetting purposes.
Okay. Yeah. And who does the vetting?
Our team does. Yeah.
Okay.
And so again, kind of depends on each college or university campus. But vetting process for our younger and our older adults.
So in Michigan, how does the vetting occur?
Yeah, so that's through our application, and then they get vetted as far as being a student in the college or university.
Okay.
And then based on the assisted living or care partner community that they're working with, we'd be background checks, TB tests, all of that.
Yeah.
All of that logistics
So you
stuff.
have to have your shots.
Yes, exactly.
And does the university support this at all? Is there any type of support that they provide, or is it strictly independent?
Yeah, so it again depends on the university, but usually we're an organization or club under the university. And so at the University of Michigan, less support because it's more of a student organization. Some other schools like Drexel University in Philadelphia, they get funding through their university. It just kind of depends on how student organizations work at the university. But all of our chapters meet with and go through our national training and national protocols of our national organization.
That's wonderful. And you're the CEO, founder of Michigan, or the national organization?
National.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So do you have in other states, they have other people who are directing that work, and that's fantastic. So another question regarding the student themselves, what do they, is it a requirement, or is it something they volunteer to do, or certain disciplines, they want you to have volunteer hours, and so they require you to do more volunteer work? Talk a little bit about that for Michigan.
Yes. So for students in Michigan, oftentimes we found it to be students pursuing healthcare professions. So nursing, medicine, social work, looking for some form of volunteer work. And actually most of our students have no experience with older adults, which is really interesting and has been super cool for me to see personally. And so really just trying to get involved in volunteer work and then find our program and then get involved and have a pair. And we recently published a study in the Journal of American Geriatric Society showing that students who are paired or on the executive board are more likely to go into the field of aging and actually work in the field of aging after their experience with perfect pair.
That's nice.
So really finding that they kind of find their pair, fall in love with like older adults and kind of intergenerational friendships and relationships, and then want to get more involved in the field, which is super fun to see.
It sounds like the preference would be for someone who's in an assisted living facility versus someone at home, or does it matter?
It doesn't matter, but usually for older adults living at home, we have to do a shared community site for safety or virtual.
Okay,
so
right.
we oftentimes will have assisted living because it's just easier to get in person.
That's and can someone can the private family pay for more time if they want more time, or is that just up to the discretion of the student and the individual? In other words, I've fallen in love with Emily and I want to spend more time with her. Is that an option?
So our program is completely free. There's no like pay for additional time, but pairs can within their own pair or families will often discuss and have like the timing that works best for them.
Okay.
So like I said, an hour a week is the very
minimum,
and pairs will often meet for more time. Some pairs will travel far and wide to see each other. We had a pair in Philadelphia where the younger adult and the older adult were meeting virtually, but the community was having a lot of trouble getting the older adult on the virtual calls consistently. So he drove an hour and a half every other week to spend a few hours with his pair. So
nice.
It really just depends on the pair relationship
That's
and what that looks
fantastic.
like.
You know, ARP has a memory cafe here in Lansing, and there's also Jim Angie who has one in Ann Arbor. We'd love to have you. You familiar with Jim Angie?
Yes. He actually helped us build out all of our dementia and people living with memory impairments programming. He is amazing. I love Jim. He's the best.
Absolutely amazing. So this might be something that we'd like to invite Perfect Pair to come and talk to our Lansing chapter about as well. So the families there will be familiar with what you're doing and what's happening there, which is absolutely incredible. Is there a website or something that you can share? Okay, there's a website on the page that we're going to have people share if they want to go. Do you have a website they can go to?
perfectpair.org is where people can kind of find all the resources and things like that.
Okay, and there's no restrictions in terms of the perfect person that is getting the care, getting the student. There's no restrictions on their part at all. Just someone who loves to talk and fantastic.
Is older and wants to find a friendship. And any of our students paired with people living with dementia go through additional training as well. Now,
you shared a little bit about the student's perspective and what they're getting out of it. Share with us some of the stories about the older adult and what you've seen from them in terms of their reaction.
Yeah, so I would say a lot of it similar to the students is companionship, friendship, kind of combating that social isolation. We actually had an older adult, Kaj, in Wisconsin, who gave a quote that I will often refer to on my hard days. And it was, at the age of 97, I've lost all friends from my youth and had given up hope for finding new ones. But the Perfect Pair program gave me contact with a remarkable young man who I consider the best friend I've ever had. And I only know that by heart because I read it so often. And they actually left the program so that they could not feel like they were obligated to do volunteer work and really just build a friendship. And he's actually gotten, I think, a second and a third pair since then, in addition to his first pair. And so I feel like it's really just that friendship and kind of combating loneliness for both our older adults and our students.
What's next for you? I know you're going to the residency, but what's next? What do you hope to, 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, what do you hope to be doing?
Yeah, so I hope to have Perfect Pair as a big part of my personal career. So a couple days clinically working as a geriatrician, and then working a couple days on Perfect Pair nationwide. I think social isolation and loneliness is a huge part of health. That's why GEHA supported us in kind of bringing this program to more communities. And so I hope to see Perfect Pair expand to more communities nationwide and really reach more older and younger adults. I think we could kind of all use a program like this.
How long has Perfect Pair been around?
It's been around 6 years.
6 years, and you've already in 32 communities?
35 chapters in 23 states.
35 chapters. So if we give you another year and you'll do it all over the world, right?
Yeah, we'll see where it goes. Yeah.
And you're going to be in internal medicine, so that would not be your primary. You still want the Perfect Pair to be the primary focus of the work that you do?
Yes, definitely. So I'm planning to do internal medicine to geriatrics fellowship to work with older adults in the clinic setting, but also I think in the community. I love this. Kind of like both angles are really important to health.
So will you return to Michigan?
I'm sure I will. My grandpa is 98 and lives near here, and my whole family's in Michigan. So I'm planning to go for a few years, explore the world, and then come back, which I'm sure my mom will be very happy to hear.
Are you his perfect pair?
My personal perfect pair. He also has he has a million friends who are all younger than him. His pool club, his poker club
98,
are all
I would think
60s.
most of his friends are younger.
Yeah.
So we've got about 20 seconds left. What would you like to share with folks before we close out this segment?
Yeah, I would just say visit our website if you're interested in getting involved, perfectpair.org, and really just kind of see all the work that we're doing. And there's lots of different ways if you're older, if you're younger, if you're a community member. And so just excited to kind of have people visit and learn more.
And what I would like to say is thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you on behalf of all the older adults who have a perfect pair, who will be getting a perfect pair. We appreciate the work that you do. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. You may have seen that big CATA bus going down the street, or maybe the smaller CATA or Spectran bus going down in your neighborhood. Thinking about trying it? Why should people, Crystal, why should people try CATA or Spectran?
If you are home 24/7, you don't get to see the world. If you call Spectran, you call CATA, you get on the bus, you can see everything. Like you can see all of Lansing in a day, literally. A lot of times you're on the bus with other people that are going somewhere that you're not going. And so you get to go a different direction than just where you had planned to go. And you get to see so much stuff that you didn't realize was there. Like I've been in Lansing my whole life, and I've always heard of Lake Lansing, but I always thought it was farther away. Riding the bus, I actually got to go to Lake Lansing. And it's like, wow, I didn't realize it was this close. It was this accessible. The bus will take you there. It will take you to the park. It'll take you to Hawk Island. It will take you anywhere. And it's amazing. They'll take you out to dinner. They'll come back and pick you up.
Did you have any anxiety with the first time that you used the bus?
The biggest worry I had the first time I used the bus was, were they going to be on time to pick me up? But if you have the Spectran app, it shows you, it literally has a little picture of a bus, and you can see it coming, and you can see it taking you wherever you're going. And so you can always know that it's going to arrive, and it's going to arrive on time.
And
Yes.
so how many years have you been using Spectran?
Almost 5 years now.
And have they been late very much?
Oh, they've been late. They've been late. They've been on time too, though. So,
Yes, yes.
you know, and then it takes a minute to understand how to schedule your rides.
Right. And then
so-
it avoids the parking and all the other issues that you have. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Appreciate you being here today.
Thank you for having me.
You probably have heard the word elder law or elder law attorney. Why do you need one? David's here to tell us why. Hi, David.
How are we doing? So, one of my pet peeves is this elder law thing. 'Cause it sounds terrible. Oh, I'm elderly, so I need an elder law attorney. Really, the way to think about it is retirement law, because it's mostly for folks who are retired. And there are certain issues that you have now that you didn't have during your working life. The elder law attorney, the retirement law attorney is what I would call it, is all about making sure that what you've earned over the last 40, 50, 60 years doesn't evaporate, that the good work that you've done over the course of your working life bears fruit throughout retirement. Everyone thinks it's about death and taxes and what have you. It's really more about your life now. So we focus on you. Now, it's not like we forget the kids. Obviously, we've got to make sure that we avoid probate, save taxes, get it to the kids. Yes, we're going to do that. But the primary focus of retirement law, elder law if you want to call it that, the primary focus is you. The biggest threat to middle-class folks when they retire is not running out of money. It's not taxes and it's not probate. The biggest threat is long-term care. The government says that 70% of us will need on average 3 years of long-term care. How are you going to pay for that? That's what retirement law answers. You've already paid for it is the answer. With every paycheck, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, you've already paid for it. The question is, how do we make sure that you get what you've earned without going broke?
Thank you so much for that, David.
Thank you.
We think about retirement. We think sometimes about health care. But do you often think about taxes in retirement? I hate to even say that word, but you're going to tell us what we need to think about. Thanks for being here, Henry.
Well, thank you for having me. Yeah, I think it's a very important concept. We're used to getting a paycheck, the taxes being withheld, and we have the net number. Mm-hmm. It's a much different emotional concept when it's income you're deriving from your own investments, there's tax due, and now you're writing a check perhaps to the IRS for the income you generated.
That just hurts my heart to even think about that after retirement.
It's an emotional thing,
Yeah,
right?
it's very emotional. But there are ways to plan for that as well.
Absolutely. I think the first item to understand or plan for, if you will, is don't put all of your eggs in one basket, as Grandma said, right? Mm-hmm. making sure there are different tax buckets or different tax treatments for the assets that you have. So when things occur in retirement that are unpredictable or unforecasted, perhaps you have a place to pull from that's not going to be taxed the same as the original source of income or your main source of income.
And there are certain accounts that that are pre-tax and post-tax. Should people
Absolutely.
consider those as they create their plan?
Yes, absolutely, especially in years of abundance where perhaps markets have produced more than you anticipated or planned for, or maybe a year where you had lower expenses than typical. That might be a good year to shift some dollars for the future that you can use that won't have the same tax burden as they do here and now.
And I like the term, even though it's an older one, all your eggs in one basket. So when you're doing your planning, you should plan for pre-tax, post-tax, health care, and other issues.
Absolutely. It's
And-
very important.
And when they begin doing that, the earlier the better.
For sure. Now you're giving yourself more time for assets to maybe grow in a tax-free position, for yourself, for use for unexpected expenses, or maybe even for your beneficiaries.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tracy Anderson with Empire Alliance at Michigan State University. Today I am joined by Ashley Druger. Ashley is owner and director of Saugatuck Home Care Services. Thank you, Ashley, for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So tell me about your work as a direct care worker.
It is such an honor to be able to go into these people's homes and give them the quality of life, the quality of care that they deserve in their own homes. I feel like it's so important for people, if they want to live at home, to be able to maintain. And we have the pleasure and honor of helping that.
And as you mentioned, direct care work is not just for our seniors, but at any point, somebody might need a direct care worker, whether
Yes.
that is a life event, you're living with a disability, suddenly you have a medical situation where you require care. Tell me a little bit about the diversity of the people you care for.
Age does not play a factor in it. I've had some that are 40. Of course, I have my 90-year-old, sometimes 100. But yes, it could be, you're in the hospital because you had an accident and you need rehabilitation at home. Or, you had some type of like a heart attack or something and you need continuing care. We're able to go into the home and provide that to them.
And it sounds like you really focus on the person-centered care. Tell me where you learned a little bit more about that.
Actually, with my training with Empire Alliance for the Direct Care Worker Certificate, what an honor that has been, and it has taught me so many new things to be able to apply to my job.
Well, thank you, Ashley.
Thank you.
A lot of good information that was shared today. Make certain that you take notes, that you share it with your friends and your family. And thanks for watching Real Possibilities.